Peep Laja. People, if you don't know who this guy is, this is the CEO of Wynter. You've heard me talk about Wynter a gazillion times, but this is the real man who set up Wynter, and we are going to talk about my favorite subject, and probably his as well, which is message testing, and why the heck your organization needs message testing when you've lived for so long without it. So, Pip, thank you. Amazing to have you here.
Thank you for inviting me.
So, something that we've been talking about and obviously exchanging LinkedIn feedback with each other is there's nobody really who thinks that message testing is a bad idea, right? If when we speak to our clients, it's like, let's test your messaging. Let's go ahead and do it. And they're like, what a great idea. And then we talk about the cost involved and we talk about the process and they're like, nah, let's just get the campaigns up and running. Doesn't make sense. What is that about? What is it about message testing that always sounds good? But when it comes down to it, people were like, should we?
I think it's not just message testing. It's like any type of optimization and research type of work. It seems like, do we really need this? And maybe it's good enough, or we'll do real market testing. Is like just put the campaigns of the new website out there and then see what happens. And of course, what happens is that, of course, yes, the real world will see it. But how many people will take time to tell you, I mean, this is off and I don't like this. And I went with the competitor because, their language they use is more compelling and speaks to my pain points more. Like, you don't get any of that when you go live. You can just see, what's your conversion rate, like how much you're selling, but why? And what would you need to change for you to perform 20% better and so on, 50% better. Yeah, there might be an illusion that, you can go faster without testing and optimizing, which is wrong because it doesn't take much time at all. Or there might be just a resistance to this, or maybe not resistance is the wrong word. It's like ignorance of, like, there's no culture of experimentation and optimization. It's like the old school way of, I made this and now we're going to go with this because I think it's good.
When we design campaigns, for example, there are always sort of like several directions of campaigns that we're going live with. And there's always a testing budget. So again, it's counterintuitive why, so like if you're willing to put 20% or 10% of your budget on testing, and A/B testing is always part of it, then what the heck? Why aren't you willing to take that 48 hours initially to test, to run it on Wynter or any other platform that does this, which I haven't found yet, that actually can save that time, because there are testing budgets out there. It's completely counterintuitive. It really doesn't make sense.
I'm with you there.
I think, look, boiling down to it, I'm thinking of two things: market education, and also, again, marketers are so under pressure to get a campaign off the ground, that they see sort of like the testing part of the messaging as a step back, or a setback, more like it. So like, I need to spend now.
Before the messaging is published on a website or whatever the medium is, there is a draft version of the messaging, maybe that lives in a Google Doc or in Figma or wherever, weeks, if not months before launch. Now is the time to go through some iteration cycles. We do message testing, identify problems, fix, run another test. Did we solve it? Did we introduce new problems? So this argument that it's slowing us down is not real.
Unless you take into consideration that whilst it's in the draft phase, like a gazillion people internally are actually reviewing it, and by the time everybody finished giving their feedback, like so many people have had their sort of like hands in the copywriting, that people, marketers are really fed up with it. So maybe that's another element, that it's just like, if I hear one more piece of feedback from anybody, even if it's our target audience, I'm going to scream. Like maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, that's very, I guess, dependent on the company culture. Because sometimes it's like there's somebody who owns it, and just goes ahead, and sometimes I guess there's a committee and takes a long time to get at the feedback.
Yeah. But I can honestly say that on Envy stuff that we're testing frequently on Wynter, when we're changing our messaging, on the clients that we are testing the messaging with before they go out with the campaigns, our success levels to hit the ground running are exponentially higher. So all in all, we're saving time and we're saving the budget. So it's
absolutely,
a matter
of how expensive is pay-per-click advertising? Like ridiculous, especially in B2B.
Yeah, tens of thousands of dollars a month are spent on it by the average organization, like easily.
And if you would be able to increase your conversion rate on a landing page or whatever the page you're optimizing by like 20%, this can make the difference between a profitable campaign and burning money, right? And so one of our customers, Cognism, which is like a B2B contact database, like a Zoom info competitor, they improved their conversion rate on their PPC landing page by like 90% after just doing 2 rounds of message testing. Oh,
Wow.
people didn't get it, and now they get it and like it, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, like we spoke earlier, Envy was about to launch our new homepage, and we thought we'd reach sort of like the great creative, the right messaging. I'd done it personally, so obviously it was going to be good. And then we put it on Wynter, and I was like, oh my God, so many things that we didn't even think about were just being surfaced. And because I knew that obviously I'd asked, CMOs and marketing directors from North America, our target audience, to give feedback, it was like I couldn't ignore it. There is no way that I could ignore that.
Absolutely. Right now at Wynter, we're preparing a new product launch. It's coming soon.
Hmm.
But before the product is actually released, I have a landing page, like a draft with a copy for what the product is.
Hmm.
And so I'm testing it with my audience, and and I wrote the copy, and I'm pretty proud of it. And I'm
Right.
thinking this is gonna be like one of those like nailed it, amazing. Give me, where do I sign? And the feedback for the first round was they pretty much eviscerated my copy. It was like they didn't get what it actually does and how it works. They got over a value prop, but there was so much skepticism and doubts and very good objections, like very thoughtful. And when I read that feedback, it's like, oh yeah, this makes sense. And yes, all these problems they're bringing up, I did not discuss it on the sales page. Essentially, if without message testing, I would just release it thinking it's amazing, and then maybe the response is not very good, and I might be thinking that it's the product that the market doesn't want, while in fact the core value prop resonates. It's just all these other small things are just
Yeah.
bad, basically need improvement.
So we'd had about a couple of months ago, we ran a message testing for one of our clients, and the feedback was so bland and so average, and
Mhm.
so we could just understand that the target audience was just sort of like, so meh, release this product, don't release this product. We really don't care. We can't tell the difference between you and your competitors. And it was the first time that usually we get an overwhelming, you need to fix ABC, or,
Mhm.
ABC was really, really good. And this time it was like, yeah, we understood what it said. This feature is really interesting. And everybody was sort of like in the okay phase. And in this, specific industry where we're targeting, there are so many competitors that there's no way in hell that they can afford for their messaging to be, yeah, okay. And that was the feedback that we took back to the CEO. And we said to him, look at the feedback you're getting here. And he understood it completely. And he was like, do what you need to do in order to sort of like change it.
Mhm.
And we literally spoke to more clients. We took the feedback from the Wynter respondees, and we implemented it because we knew that we couldn't go live like that. Or you know what, we could go live like that as long as within 2 weeks we were already sort of like with a plan to change it significantly, because it was just not going to fly at all.
So what's
Um,
happening in the market is like there's so much competition. Like most every tool has like 10, 20 direct competitors. Like go to G2, open up whatever category and segment you're in, and
yep,
just look at it. So
right.
every single tool claims to be doing the exact same things. So as a prospective buyer, when you're shopping around, if something is just meh, you're not gonna, what are the odds you're gonna request a demo unless it's a brand that you've been following for years, right? It's the
Right.
category leaders get a demo, and if you're a small upstart and you have Me Too messaging,
Hmm.
and without testing, you wouldn't know.
Exactly. Another thing that I loved your post last week about HubSpot and its messaging. And we're a diamond partner for HubSpot. We care a lot about their messaging. But it's also a mantra that I've been saying about large B2B enterprises and their marketing and their messaging in general. I mean, you cannot get more bland, generic messaging than you can on most of the large corporates. I'm talking about IBM, I'm talking about HP, I'm talking about Dell, I'm talking about many, many of the large enterprise software vendors and hardware vendors, even. And their messaging is just, ah, seriously. And I understand that there's pressure from the board. And I understand that there's pressures from the shareholders that they don't want you to overpromise or to say something that somebody might sue you over using the wrong comma. But seriously, it's ridiculous that these large brands that are the cutting edge of the technology are relying on messaging that is just subpar. There's no other way of saying it. It's just boring. And I say that they're succeeding despite their marketing and their messaging. Often they're relying purely on their brand name and their recognition, the fact that people just know them as a household name kind of thing. But what gives? I mean, what do you think? Why can't they just be more adventurous with their messaging? Why can't they test a different messaging to see whether that suddenly gives them an uptake in the number of opportunities that they get? Why is this?
Mhm.
Why is it like this?
When all these big brands started and they were not mass market, they were small, like niche focused. They had much more focused messaging on point, speaking to specific problems. And as the companies grew and they started targeting ever bigger slice of the market until you're HubSpot or Salesforce, which is like mass market products, meaning that they target everybody. Everybody, like Salesforce sells to big enterprises and SMB. Same with HubSpot. So they need the messaging to speak to everybody. And so it gets more vague and fuzzy over time. It wasn't like that 10 years ago or 15 years ago. When Salesforce started with the first cloud CRM, it was very on point messaging. And now also of course as they're bigger and then they become more conservative. There's more layers of, as you said, people and legal, and everybody needs to sign off, and everybody's doing their job. So we cannot defend anybody and need to protect from lawsuits. And not to say, I don't think at Salesforce's scale it really matters anymore, because it's people have an idea of what Salesforce or HubSpot are. Their brand precedes them. So people look at the vague messaging, they already know what HubSpot is. Versus if you're CRM number 57 by size, you need to be very precise about your messaging and say why you're better or different than HubSpot or any other category leader you're up against. So I think maybe it's fine if HubSpot's messaging is like brown. I think that the thing is, like, if you're a category leader, you don't need to be different. Everybody else in your category needs to differentiate against you. So if I'm shopping for a CRM, or like any person is shopping for a tool or a CRM marketing, it doesn't matter. They're looking at the category leader or a couple of them, and then maybe some interesting options that have come across through marketing or whatever. And they're asking is, how is this different or better than, say, HubSpot or whatever, the Gong, And so a smaller brand, it needs to be very precise and on point with their messaging. And HubSpot can get away with being boring.
They are getting away with being boring. That's another thing. Let's talk about, there are plenty of spaces like cybersecurity space where any given time, there are 3,000 cybersecurity companies. In order for you to stand out, it's mayhem. It's an absolute nightmare. And the companies that are not investing in their creative, in their brand, in their messaging, I think they've got a next to like zero chance of making it anytime soon.
Unless they raise a huge amount of VC money and they can just spend out of their wazoo, they can make it. But most, absolutely not. What I see in message test all the time, the feedback is, well, it sounds like more of the same. Or how is this different from so-and-so, Oh, so many startups especially are afraid to name the status quo. Like, why choose me over this well-known brand over here? Like, they're not making the case. They're talking about themselves as if they were the only one doing what they're doing, which is hardly ever the case. You must be an innovator. And how many are true innovators? Like, 1 out of a million, maybe.
Okay, so we realize, I think we've hammered in the home that message testing is a good idea, especially if you don't want to burn thousands of dollars on A/B testing on paid channels. And what do you think? I mean, how are we going to drive the message home that message testing is a good idea? Obviously, selling it internally, really important. Internal education, really important. What else can we be doing?
Using metaphors. People think in metaphors, and the metaphor that I have found, or metaphor is the wrong way, I should say analogy.
Yep.
The best analogy that I have found is to use sales context. So if I'm pitching, it's an inbound demo. You schedule the demo with me and I'm pitching you Wynter. But you have your cam off and mic is on mute. I don't see you. I don't hear anything from you. And I'm just pitching, oh, Wynter is great for blah, 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 blah. As I'm pitching you and I don't hear any feedback, I'm like, are you even liking what I'm saying? Am I boring you? Do you even care about these features? I don't know. Yet I'm keeping going. And like, in real world, I would not want to take a sales demo like that. I wouldn't want to scream into the void.
Right.
But that's exactly what's happening on your website. You have that sales page and you're just shouting. And you can't ask for feedback. You can't tailor your pitch. And you might be boring people, and you probably are boring people. And so in real life sales situation, like even to optimize your sales pitch, it takes a lot of reps, a lot of demos, and a lot of closed lost deals because your pitch wasn't just hitting the notes.
Exactly.
Until you find a rhythm and so on that works. The same for your homepage messaging. So a message test really is that you're getting feedback, iterate, improve, and now you're getting a rep, and now try again until it works, it resonates, it converts.
Amazing. Closing words from you, Pep?
Don't assume, test.
Yes, please. It's just making everybody's life easier. Pep, thank you so much. Really enjoyed it. You're a star. Thank you.
Billy, thank you for having me.